fact, for Andre Dre Jackson, freedom was a tightrope walk. At 38, fresh out of a 5-year sentence for a non-violent drug offense, his new life was a carefully constructed house of cards. A full-time job at a moving company, evening classes for his GED, and perfect attendance at every parole meeting. He was doing everything right. His entire existence depended on flawlessly following dozens of rules, all enforced by one man. His parole officer, Stephen Hale. Hale wasn't a guide. He was a gatekeeper, and he made it clear he held the keys to Dre's cage. The only difference between you and the men still inside, Jackson Hale would often say with a cold smirk, is that you walked out. Don't think for a minute I won't put you back. His words hung in the air, a constant suffocating threat. The rules were a labyrinth designed for failure. The most brutal was the 10 p.m. curfew. On paper, it sounded reasonable, but in Dre's reality, it was a vice grip. His shifts at the moving company often ran late, sometimes 12 hours of back-breaking labor. Then he'd rush straight to his GED class, his mind buzzing with exhaustion, but determined to learn. By the time class ended, the clock was a ticking bomb. There was no time for a quiet moment, no time to grab groceries for the week, no time for the simple errands that make a life feel normal. He was a ghost in his own city, racing home every night just to beat the deadline that separated freedom from a return to prison. Life after release wasn't about rehabilitation, it was about surveillance. And Hale was a master of the art. He specialized in what he called surprise compliance checks, unannounced aggressive raids on Dre's small, shared apartment. These weren't checks, they were invasions, calculated to destabilize and intimidate. One Tuesday, the violation came at dawn. 6 a.m., Dre was just getting ready for work, the steam from his shower still fogging the mirror. Suddenly, a thunderous bang on the door, and before he could even react, Hale and 2 uniformed officers burst in. "We have an anonymous tip about contraband, Jackson," Hale barked, his eyes scanning the room with predatory focus. "Hands on the wall. Where are you hiding the cash?" Dre, heart pounding, complied without a word. He knew resistance was futile. Hale immediately went to Dre's desk, where his textbooks and homework were neatly stacked. The officers began to tear the apartment apart. Clothes were ripped from the closet and thrown onto the floor. The mattress was flipped over with a grunt. And then they got to the small table by the window. On it sat a delicate terrarium, a miniature world of moss and stone Dre was carefully building. It was a birthday gift for his nephew, a small piece of beauty in a life filled with harsh edges. One of the officers, with casual cruelty, knocked it to the floor, shattering the glass and destroying the tiny landscape inside. Of course, they found nothing. No contraband, no hidden cash. But Hale wasn't done. His eyes landed on a bottle of Tylenol PM on the bedside table. He picked it up, holding it between 2 fingers as if it were evidence of a major crime. "What is this?" he demanded. "Tylenol PM, sir," Dre explained, his voice steady despite the rage and despair churning inside him. It helps me sleep after a 12-hour shift. Hale's lips curled into a triumphant smile. Your conditions state no unapproved narcotics or mood-altering substances. Did you clear this with me? No, that's a technical violation, Jackson. I could violate you right now. Before Dre could say another word, Hale smashed the bottle against the wall. White capsules scattered across the floor like broken teeth. He gave Dre a formal warning, turned, and walked out, leaving a shattered apartment, a destroyed gift, and the clear message that even sleep was a privilege that could be taken away. The harassment wasn't confined to the four walls of his apartment. Hale began to take his campaign public, turning every step Dre took outside into a potential trap. Parole wasn't just about staying out of trouble, it was about proving you were actively rebuilding. One of those requirements was job networking. So, one Saturday afternoon, Dre went to the local library to use their computers. It was the only way he could access the internet to search for better job opportunities, a core part of his parole plan. He spent an hour inside, dutifully applying for jobs, updating his resume. As he walked out, blinking in the afternoon sun, he saw a familiar police cruiser parked at the curb. Hale was waiting for him. Jackson, Hale called out, striding towards him with a uniformed officer in tow. We saw you loitering outside the premises for 20 minutes. That violates your community engagement terms. You're required to be actively engaged. Sir, I was actively engaged inside, Dre said, trying to remain calm. He held up his library card. I was just leaving. You can check the computer logs. Hal completely ignored the card. His gaze dropped to Dre's sneakers. He pointed at a tiny, insignificant red smudge on the side of one shoe. It could have been paint, ketchup, anything. Wait a minute, Hale said, his voice loud enough for passers-by to hear. Is that blood, Jackson? Where did you get that blood? Did you assault someone? We're taking you in for questioning on a potential battery charge. The scene that followed was pure theatre, staged for maximum humiliation, right there on the library steps, in full view of the public. Dre was subjected to a pat-down. Hale's questions were aggressive, accusatory. People stopped and stared, among them, by a cruel twist of fate, was a manager from the moving company Dre. Worked for the same manager who had just offered him a promotion to a foreman position. He saw it all, the cruiser, the cops, the public search. Dre was detained for 2 hours and released without any charge. There was no blood, no assault, no crime, but the damage was done. The public spectacle had served its purpose perfectly. The next Monday at work, the promotion was quietly rescinded. The library, once a place of hope and opportunity, now felt like a minefield. The fear of being in public, of being seen, began to consume him. Hale's constant arbitrary use of power wasn't designed to catch Dre committing a new crime. It was designed to make a normal life impossible. It was a system of psychological warfare that chipped away at his stability, his hope, and his sanity. Dre finally understood he hadn't been released from prison. He had just been transferred to a different one, a prison with invisible walls, where the rules were always changing, and the warden's only goal was to see him fail. His freedom was a lie, a cruel and elaborate trap designed to send him right back to where he started. And in this new prison, the chance of him breaking wasn't just a possibility, it was the intended outcome. The story of Andre Jackson is a fictional narrative, but it reflects the very real challenges and systemic obstacles that countless individuals face when re-entering society. The cycle of surveillance and technical violations can make a successful return to life feel nearly impossible. If you or someone you know is struggling with the pressures of re-entry or mental health challenges, please know that help is available. Organizations like the National Re-entry Resource Center and mental health hotlines are there to provide support and guidance. You are not alone. Thank you for watching.